Hey, what's up, guys? First Amendment week. You didn't think I forgot about it, did you? I want to share with you stories as relates to travel and how that relates to free speech. So before I started producing RawTravel, I was still traveling and I was actually documenting. And my first effort was filming a documentary about punk music around the world. It never got made, but I did get some interviews. And even though the documentary didn't get made, it really led me to producing RawTravel, and perhaps most importantly, led me to appreciate free speech, because punk music can be very political at times and not necessarily embraced by governments. So in 2009, I went to Cuba. I did not go in any official capacity as a producer or a journalist. I was just there as a tourist. I had some really good experiences, typical tourist experiences, but also got to know the locals quite a bit as well. And I had begun to ask around, is there a punk rock scene here? And finally, someone said, yes, there is. If you go on Friday nights to this place where all these young people hang out, they call them Los Frikis, and it's on Friday nights at 8 o'clock or whatever. So me and a buddy went down there, and sure enough, there's all these young people everywhere. So they got long hair, there's goths, there's skateboard kids, there's punks with mohawks. There's all these different people expressing themselves in different ways that you don't usually see in Cuba. And there were just hundreds of these kids all over this place. So we spotted a couple of punks and we communicated with them. And because I was an American with the camera, in 2009, that was kind of a big deal. This was pre-social media. This was much more raw and much more of an adventure because we had no way of knowing what to expect. And so we're there with our cameras, creating a ruckus. People are gathered around. And so we're just getting ready to start our first interview. Here come the police. Now, I'm thinking they're going to arrest me or at the very least confiscate my camera. I am in trouble because I am not here as a journalist. I did not register with anybody. I've had no communication with the government about my role here, and I'm going to be in big trouble, and this camera is going to be gone. The police completely ignored me, turned their attention totally to the people that we were about to interview, pulled them aside, started questioning them, asking them for their cedula, their ID, and then the next thing we know, took them away. Their friends were watching, as were we, horrified. And I asked their friends, what's going to happen to these guys? And they were like, well, they're going to stay in jail overnight, and then we'll try to go tomorrow and pay a bribe to get them out. So we asked them how much it was going to be, and we gave them the money so that they could get their friends out the next day. And I assumed that would be the end of it, that we would not get any interviews. No one would be interested after seeing their friends hauled away for going to talk to this American with the camera, but I was wrong. They insisted to be interviewed. They wanted to be interviewed. So we went to a place out of the prying eyes of the police, or so we hoped, and we started conducting interviews, and we ended up getting several interviews. And they not only were willing to be interviewed, they spoke very openly about their criticism of the Cuban government. And I put it up on YouTube as soon as I got back. And of course it went viral. This is again, 2009, early 2010. And when it went viral, a funny thing happened in the comments. A lot of the comments were, oh, these guys are fake. This never happened. People are staged. Cuba is a paradise, et cetera, et cetera. So you knew that those comments were coming from the Cuban government. That was my first interaction with state-sponsored propaganda. And it was super interesting to see unfold, and a bit disturbing as well, because I worried about the safety of the people that I had interviewed. That's why when I went back in 2016, I sought out Los Frikis again, and I was so happy to see when I recognized one of the guys, of course, many years older, but that Los Frikis still existed. A few months later, I went to Russia for the very first time, and probably for the only time. But while I was in Russia, I was doing the same thing. I was interviewing punk musicians, punk fans, trying to get to the core of the philosophy of punk in all these different places, including in Moscow. So one of the people that I was going to interview was this young lady that I had met, I guess on social media or whatnot. She was a punk music fan. She agreed to do an interview. I said, let's do it at Red Square. That's a good spot. It's a good backdrop. So we go to Red Square. She has a microphone. We just begin the interview, and up comes this really burly guy just yelling and spitting and being rude and just completely ignoring me, but yelling at her in Russian. This little tiny thing is unable to even get a word in edgewise. I have no idea what's going on. All I know is that this guy is really mad and she's trying to tell him exactly what's going on. So after he flipped out his badge and was yelling at her for about 5 minutes and she talked a little bit, he left. And I said, what happened? What's going on? And she was so shaken up. She was so scared. She said, let's get out of here. I'll tell you later. So we almost ran several blocks away. We finally had stopped to get some tea, and she had calmed down enough to tell me what happened. And essentially, the guy was giving her the third degree about why is this foreigner here? What is he filming? What are you guys talking about? Why do you have a microphone? And she made up this story that I was interested in Russian history and Russian culture, and that I was asking her about that. And she was just telling me about it. And she had the microphone because it was windy and it was hard for the camera to pick up the audio. Luckily for us, he did not ask to see the video that we had taped prior to that, and he bought her story. And even though she was shaken up, we were fine. But that experience never really left me. Matter of fact, both experiences have left, both in Cuba and in Russia, an indelible imprint on me. And it's one reason why I would say I'm even hypersensitive about anybody who ever tries to infringe on my right to say what I want to say, when I want to say, how I want to say it. As I told you before, it's one of the reasons I became an independent producer, because I did not want to be constrained by corporate constraints. It doesn't mean I have a free license to be disrespectful to people or anything like that, or to spread fake information or to do harm to people. It simply means that I want to be able to express my opinion how I want to express it. And I'm thankful for the TV show because it has allowed me to do that. So I wanted to explain those two situations. Hopefully you found it somewhat entertaining. You can check out the video that I did in Cuba. It's below. Thanks for watching.